All right, so in this video, we are gonna talk about the hand pivot, okay? Now, for those of you who have been watching our YouTubes, that means that you've been following us for a while and you know that we've put out a really good in-depth tutorial on the rear leg, okay? And the first phase to that, kind of how to start learning it. That's what this video is gonna be about, but for the hand pivot, okay? In this as well, I'm gonna talk about some of the negatives. I'm actually gonna cover that first because most people see this demonstration on social media. They see people trying to exaggerate this. They immediately disagree because it's so foreign to what they're used to. Most people are so used to knob down, cutting across their body like this. But here's the difference. When you tell somebody who's an extremely hard worker, okay, like I was, somebody who's very diligent with whatever the coach tells them to do, you tell them to swing down and go knob to the ball, and they will work so hard at doing this. And they will get really good at it. And I maxed that out for myself, okay? Like I got as good as I possibly could with that, and it wasn't very good, lo and behold. And then when you tell an athlete that there's actual depth back there and you start getting them to exaggerate that, it feels so foreign at first. And a lot of people are trying to learn this swing on their own. They don't have a coach who's actually done it themselves. They don't have a coach who actually swings a bat. A lot of coaches are just trying to teach this from behind a laptop. They just see this stuff on social media and they try to nitpick and only implement some of the hand pivot stuff or some of the rear leg stuff instead of the real thing on what it is, okay? And so a lot of the negatives that come with it. One of them is that when guys start first learning this swing, they start to feel this with their forearms, right? And then when they come up here to actually try to feel it, their normal swing, they go like this. This is always like step one for most people. They start thinking it's this move. This move is not the same move as this, okay? Drastic difference. And you'll see a lot of new guys, especially when they're learning this on their own, they'll do that and they'll do it over and over again. And then they're wondering why they're clipping balls and missing underneath them because they lost all their depth. You go this way first, the barrel's still not on plane, still not launched. Now it's launching, but I lost all this depth back here to play with. Okay, so if you can imagine the difference between this right in here and this right here, you can immediately see in the camera that I have way more depth back here to play with, okay? And so guys will start doing that and then they'll start trying to tilt and then it just becomes a mess because usually they don't have a really good rear leg. They start to tilt after they've already done their forward move and it turns into this move right here, which is not what we teach. That's not the hand pivot. That's not being rear-legged at all. And in this video towards the end, we're also gonna cover the ratio so you learn how to do all three at the same time. Okay, so we'll get into that here towards the end. So the first drill we're gonna do is going to be with a band around our neck. And the reason why is because we want to eliminate the arms in the swing. The arms are the enemy. So imagine all you have access to is T-Rex arms when you're first learning this thing. That way you can exaggerate. The force is going to be in the handle. I'm trying to split the wood between my hands when I turn this barrel, okay? Now, this is even weirder for guys who push because 90% of the time when guys come in here and I just have them start warming up how they normally do, they put the tee way out in front of them because they're so used to getting on plane so late that the only time they can really hit it hard is going to be like right here, way out in front of them. Well, that's where all their force is. They don't have any force behind them. So they're used to doing this move when they go to hit, okay? For us, when we're first learning this, I always like to start off the back hip so we can exaggerate real depth from behind us, okay? So for this tee, I'm going to put it right here in line with my back hip, just like this, and then I'm going to take my top hand and put it underneath the band, okay? And every time I post drills like this, people shit on it, but they shit on it because of how it looks, okay? Instead of actually self-applying it, testing it themselves. Now, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt my neck. I can do this as many times as I want, as hard as I want. There is no burn that's happening on my neck. It feels completely fine. But you'll notice I don't want to put any force into the band with my arms. I have to be able to hit this ball by just turning the barrel behind me, okay? So I'm going to show you a little demo. It's a no stride on and around the rear leg, and my only goal here is to break the handle behind me as hard as I can and then just tap the ball, okay? I'm not worried about extension. I'm not trying to put any force right here. I just want the force to happen instantly behind me, okay? Right in there. And I'll do that over and over and over again. The reason why I want to exaggerate that is because in that moment, I feel like it's such a tight turn with my body and all I have access to is north-south, okay? My hips aren't focusing on this. My shoulders aren't focusing on this. All of my action is north-south, okay? And you'll start to see how my hips actually tilt they don't turn, okay? If I turn first, that means I'm not really rear-legged. I'll slip the hip a little bit and then turn this way. It makes my bat path more east-west, all right? All right, so after we progress from that, we usually do that for a few days, by the way, and then we'll have the athlete put the tee in a normal spot. Normal spot's like front hip, not like way out here, okay? Still working with the small bat. That way we try to get rid of the arms as best we can, and we're still working from a no stride. Most people, this is gonna be later on in the video when we talk about the ratio, but most people go forward way too much, okay? So trying to learn the hand pivot in front of the leg won't do you any good anyways, because no matter what, once you go in front of it, you can try to snap this thing as much as possible. You're still gonna be pivoting at the ball, so you're gonna have all your force right here in this little area instead of all the force back here behind you. So now tee's in my front hip. My goal though is to try to act like the tee's back here. So I should have the same swing from back here that I do when the tee's right here in front of me. All right, the next drill we're gonna use is the Propeller bat. This is Richard's bat that he custom made. You guys probably know him as Teacher Man. If you want this Propeller bat, just go to his website. But if you're familiar with HLP, you already know all about it. So from here, what I'm trying to do, I'm gonna go in a no stride now. And I'm exaggerating as if I have the band around my neck. You can do this with the band around your neck as well, okay? But for the sake of the video, I'm not gonna put the band around my neck. And all I'm trying to do is snap it as hard as I can behind me. Now, if I do this right, you'll see that it's on top of my forearm, okay? I'm not trying to worry about extension through the ball, anything like that, because I don't want any force right here. This is selling out on one segment of the swing, the hand pivot. That's it, okay? So when the guy's flipping too, I recommend it like a 45-degree angle and kind of behind you. If the flipper's doing it way out front, it's gonna be harder to work on the one thing you're trying to do, which is to gain depth. All right, so the idea is that once I'm done, I can feel like I hold this spot, okay? Right in there. If you're doing the drill, go ahead and flip me one more, and you see yourself a lot out here, okay, with this thing behind you, or underneath your forearm, sorry, not ideal. If you're pushing and trying to use your arms, it's gonna be underneath you, or it'll probably crack your elbow. It will not feel very good. All right, so now that the athlete has a decent idea on how depth is created, where it's actually at, where the speed of the swing is when it's behind us, I'm gonna take a full swing now with the small bat with this tee on my back hip. The exaggeration here comes from the tilt, okay, right in here. So yes, it's gonna be more exaggerated with the tilt behind me when the tee's back here, comparative to when it's in a normal spot. But I'm gonna take both swings so you can see that it's really not that different, okay? So back here on my back hip, all right? Okay, and then now it's somewhat in front of me, on and around, same feel, back from behind me. The difference is small, okay? It's not that crazy. Yet, you'll see a lot of guys isolating the tilt feel, and with some of our guys, we have them just place the bat right here on their shoulder, have them do a step like a little Happy Gilmore, and feel themselves get around the leg and tilt first. So you can see that my barrel actually starts to change direction just from that. Imagine coupling that with this feel going down your back. That's where the speed gets created, okay? But if you're lacking one of the three in the ratio, your forward move, how much you coil, or going up the back, it's not gonna be the same. So this next part of the video, we're gonna talk about the ratio and how to maximize the hand pivot. Okay, so the ratio, I touched on this in the lower half segment that we did with HLP. Go ahead and look that up. It's gonna be right here on the screen. So if you wanna go check out that video, you can go ahead and check it out. But the ratio is so important to figure this out, because like I said, you can do this as hard as you want, but if you're in front of the leg when you do it, you're still gonna push your arms, okay? Now the ratio is, I have to coil as much as I go forward, as much as I go up the back. Those are the three things. And for me, it feels like I'm getting a stretch wrapping around my leg all the way up my back. So imagine like I'm pulling a rubber band from the floor up this way, and when I release it down. So another segment to that is we teach everyone to swing down. Regardless of what you may believe or see online, we teach everyone the feeling of swinging down, okay? It's just the fact that we swing down our backs, not down across our body like that, all right? So for the ratio, the first way to learn it is to stand like a flamingo and just go around, okay? Just do that in one spot. That's just gonna be the coil. Now, when you do it on the next one, try to go forward a little bit, but maintain your head over the foot, okay? So now I'm gonna coil, go forward, head over the foot. You see how that works? So I start to stay in my spot, as I go forward. That's how you can control the forward move and the pace that you go forward. Okay, the next one is gonna be up my back. Now I'm not talking like this. I'm just talking about taking this meat a little bit that way so I can feel the stretch in my back right before I pull the trigger, all right? That's gonna also keep me head over the foot as much as possible, so that way I don't blow my forward load too early, okay? And most people, most people are not coiling too much. They're not going up the back too much. Most people are just going forward too much. And so to learn this, I recommend doing everything from no stride, everything from stretch and fire 3/4 open first, and a ton of snap stops before just trying to figure it all out with your foot in the air, trying to take game swings. It's probably not gonna happen for you like that. And if you've done that in the past, you're probably the guy that's like, I've tried it, but it didn't work for me, right? And it's because you didn't really try it. You gave it a shot in a day in a cage, going forward, trying to take your regular swing, trying to implement what you saw on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And that's not the same thing as actually training yourself to do it. This is a long-term approach. You gotta think about this like, I had a conversation with a hitter the other day. He didn't really grasp this until he changed his perspective on how he viewed the swing. So he always viewed the swing like knob down to the ball, front foot down early, cutting across his body, because that's what he was almost brainwashed to think like his whole life. Everybody taught him that. Once he started grasping this concept, he started looking at video online differently. He started seeing hitters do this, and he was like, oh, that does look different, okay? That's drastically different than what I've been taught in the past. And so once you change your perspective, and you change your belief around your philosophy on hitting, now you actually have an opportunity to be open-minded and grasp this concept. Anybody can learn it. I've seen young kids learn it. I've seen young kids learn it just off free content. So that says something about you. If you're like 15, 16 and you still haven't figured it out and you're just trying to do it for free, you probably need expert coaching to really help you out with that. All right, so after I start to do the coil and the forward together, now I wanna fill up my back. Okay? If you have a hard time doing that in this flamingo stance like this, I recommend starting stretch and fire, getting around the leg so you pretty much max out your coil first, and now your forward move is just this front foot stretching away from you, okay? My launch is gonna take me that way. So I'm gonna get in a stretch and fire, and then right when I start to coil, go on and around, see how my front foot stays that way? That immediately, right when I barely go up the back, I can feel the stretch up my back, so I feel wound up. And then the only thing from there is you want to launch out from your body when you do it. So still think everything if you're a right-handed hitter, second base, lefty, shortstop, okay? So like I said, this video is just an introduction to the hand pivot. Start with these drills, start with the mindset and the discipline that this is gonna take a while. This isn't gonna be a one-day thing. This is gonna be several weeks, maybe, before you feel it. You might feel something in one day. Obviously, that's the goal, and that's great if that happens for you. But for others, we built up a lot of bad tendencies. I know for me, it took me a few months to feel everything, okay? And so if that's you, just stay the course, because there's no reason to give up on something early, especially if you can see it on video and you see other people doing it and you know it works for them. That's where I was at in my career. Once I started seeing the transformation that happened with Judge from 16 to 17, I was like, man, my swing looks a lot more like his 16 swing comparative to a 17 swing. And that's when I really started deep diving on this concept. And then, you know, if you've gone through any of our social media videos, you know kind of the backstory on that. We tested this with hundreds of players, thousands of players at this point, from 14 all the way up to the big leagues. We've had tremendous success with it. So I got to tell you, don't give up on it just because you can't figure it out on your own from this content. Reach out to somebody for help. If you want our guidance on this, go ahead and go down our description. In the description, our website's going to be in there. Click that, apply for training. We'll get you on the phone. We have a hitting course available. We have remote coaching available where I literally take videos just like this, working with you one-on-one remotely to break down your swing and cover all these concepts as well. We also provide throwing development and strength and conditioning. So no matter how good your technique is, keep in mind how hard you hit the ball and how often you hit it, that plays, okay? So you still got to be big and strong in order to do that. So if you like this video, if this helped you out, go ahead, share it, repost it, send it to a friend, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.